Monitors are up, and none of that got recorded. So
perfect.
You guys don't even know what proximity effect is because you didn't hear Chris's example.
Proximity.
There it is. I believe mics are going. Just double
Whoever
check
did
everything.
his ink on his right arm, great job.
Check.
Great job.
Check. Yeah, very defined. He's got really defined lines on
and
there.
it has, like, you can actually see the layers, like what's supposed to be on top and underneath.
Yep,
and
looks real. It doesn't look like just
like
just a
the
pattern
shading
next to
was
each
very
other.
well
Actually,
done.
yeah,
Like,
you're right. Yeah, like right where they got into the like the underneath part, they added that little shading next to there to make it seem like it's going under.
Which that's something a lot of people miss.
Smart.
Like,
yeah, that's good work right there.
That was a good artist.
All right, let's do this. 307 Reacts, Matt, Chris, you guys, best audience in the world, and I don't know exactly how you reacted to our video last week because I am currently editing that video today as we're pulling up this video, but on the screen in front of us, we have, once again, the Fat Electrician. I think that's the name, right? The Fat Electrician, as he goes by on YouTube. I don't know his actual name. It's probably in his description. We'll find that out over time, I'm sure. You guys will let us know. Anyways, in this episode...
He looks like a Michael to me.
He looks like a... What do I want to...
Or Cody. He looks like a Cody.
I like Cody. That seems like it fits. It's not. I know it's not. But
it's probably not. We're just out here just throwing
Trevor or something like that. I don't know. Anyways, on the screen is America stole a German submarine and stuck it in Chicago. I have no idea what this is in reference to. I don't know the story.
It's one hell of a drive.
The thumbnail. You're right. You're right. The thumbnail for it just says Grand Theft U-boat. So I'm really interested to find out what actually is going on. Our video last week, I actually really enjoyed this thing. So we're gonna kind of start every now and then. We're gonna release a video on Monday called Military Monday, and that's just gonna be the theme.
We'll do just one a month.
Yeah, that'll be the theme for that Monday. That's just and it's nothing specific. It's just Chris came in earlier and was like, "Let's do a Military Monday." I was like, "Yep, cool."
Just check out what our troops are up to. You know, here's some awesome history. Learn some things.
I like the history updates because I didn't like history in school at all, and now that I'm getting older and I'm starting to consider the rest of my life, history is starting to become more important to me. So I'm like,
that's actually one of the only AP classes I took.
Really?
Yeah,
dude. So many people, so many of my friends and other people that I talked to from back in the day were so into history, man. And I think
it depends on your teacher. Like, I had a teacher, Mr. Ewings.
Okay.
And he was ex-military, like,
that's
super cool dude.
Yeah.
He would be like, okay, so listen, this is what I'm going to teach you out of this book, and then I'm going to show you how this shit happened.
Yep, fair enough.
And then he'll sit there and actually draw on the board and do a thing, and he'll be like,
he's like, I was on the battlefield.
These guys, okay, the reason that they were pissed off is because the Persians came and took all their shit.
Yeah, see.
And then he'll sit there and, like, he's like, they're going to move up here. And the reason they did that was because fuck those guys. Are those guys from these guys? Nope, but fuck those guys too. They're in the way.
See, I like that, the explanatory teaching. I did have one.
A lot like this guy does.
Right, yep. Yeah. I did have one teacher like that in 7th grade. His name was Mr. Hinton, and he was my history teacher, and he was good. He was great. Yeah. I will never forget his class. He was awesome. Well, it wasn't history, it was social studies, because it was like 7th grade or 8th grade.
Shit.
So it was like, but that was one history/social studies class that I took that was like, okay, this one's cool. And then every other, you're right, it does depend a lot on the teacher. Anyways, I digress. We watched him last week. It was awesome. We're going to continue on. That's basically it. If you guys are along for the ride, hit that subscribe button while you're down there. Check out our description. We got some new stuff in there. We got a Discord link. We got Sweetwater affiliate links. We got some other information down there for PayPal and all that, Patreon, all that.
While I'm thinking of it, we need to update the Discord link because it's only good for 30 days, remember?
Oh, that's right. So we have to do that like once. Okay.
We'll do it tonight.
Remind me. Anyways, it's fresh in the link. So if you're along for the ride, hit that button. Let's go.
Let's go.
You know what you call the only Type 9C German U-boat left in existence? America's. Today we're talking about the time that America stole an entire German submarine and then stuck it in the middle of Chicago. I mean, when America strategically transferred a piece of equipment to an alternate location. But first, a word from our sponsor. This video is brought to you by Warwood Tools, a family-owned business that for over 160 years has been making sledgehammers and axes right out of West Virginia using American 1060 high-carbon steel. And to this day, they still make all their tools using World War II-era drop hammer forging. So if you want some tools that are going to outlast you, I would recommend Warwood Tools, and I'll have them linked linked in the description down below. Moving on. Okay, important context in case you don't know. During World War II, American supply lines to the European theater were absolutely devastated by German U-boats, aka submarines. These German U-boats are credited with sinking over 2,700 American ships, totaling in over 14 million tons of American ships and supplies that were put at the bottom of the ocean. Because of this, America would form what is known as hunter-killer groups, task forces of American ships who were sent out, and their entire job was to hunt and destroy these enemy submarines. Because that's just how America gets down. We don't believe in self-defense, we believe in self-offense. It's way more efficient. And that's pretty much all the context you need. So, April 4th, 1944, a hunter-killer group known as Task Force 22.3 would set out, engage, and destroy the German U-boat 515. Absolutely everything went according to plan, nothing was out of the ordinary. They hit it with depth charges, critically wounding the submarine, forcing it to surface one last time to allow the crew to escape before the submarine would sink below the ocean waves forever. But it was on this particular day that the American commander...
I know we're only a minute and a half in. I think what is a good question. So he brought up there that obviously the U-boats, underwater submarines, underwater missiles, that was like their whole tactic, stay off radar, blah blah blah, right? So when we come in to destroy that, and maybe he'll go over this. Maybe I'm pausing too early, but he said that we attacked it. We dropped the charges on it. It exploded. And then it surfaced enough to get the crew off the boat, and before it sank to the ground again. So in those instances, I would assume, my assumptions have been wrong many times before, but I would assume in those instances, we're not out there necessarily to kill the people on board. We're just getting rid of the equipment, right? Or is it a case of...
if someone gets hurt, they get hurt.
He presented it like, yo, and I get that. He presented it like, okay, yo, here's the warning shot. Get the hell out of there, because we're sinking this thing. Yeah. So you get a chance to get off the boat. Where you go and how you get there, I don't know, because you're in the middle of the ocean. But good luck. But we're not after you. We just want the boat. Is that fair, or is it kind of just like a fuck it, we're going in, everyone who dies, dies?
After World War II, it became less about dwindling the enemy's numbers and more about dwindling their resources. Okay. So their resources, their equipment. If they don't have tanks, what are they going to do? Send a bunch of foot soldiers against my tanks? Against my tank. Flip-flops and rocks, dude? I mean, so, like, they can win the war and keep casualties to a minimum if they just take out resources and equipment.
You can have as many foot soldiers as you want.
And it's such a bigger target.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. I guess that makes sense. Kind of like the rules of engagement or whatever, that whole thing where it's like...
Which I don't think there's a rule that says they can't just... like nuke the thing in the ocean if they didn't,
Probably like
there is a rule about nukes, but
well, right. Probably there's probably like an ethical, moral thing that goes. I would hope so. I know politicians and all that stuff gets crazy.
Oh gosh, it gets wild.
But I would hope that there's some underlying we don't want to just go and cause mass genocide. We just want to
for instance, I know one of the rules is you're never supposed to shoot somebody while they're parachuting. If they're parachuting, you wait till they hit the ground.
Oh, wow.
And once they hit the ground, it's on.
Really?
But yeah, you never fire a shot at anybody parachuting.
That's
always been like an unwritten rule.
Wait for them to get to the ground. It's like a duel. It's like, yeah, man, you're coming down. I'm not just going to pick you off like a bird out of there, which then, I don't know, I guess that guy can be shooting too, but I mean, parachuting with the rifle trying to get the...
good luck.
Probably not. And back then, when you got a single shot rifle, you need to redo them.
Right.
Okay, I just had to ask. I don't know. You guys, let us know in the comments too. You guys always have more knowledge on this stuff than I do, and I just like to find out. So let us know. Let's keep going.
Daniel Gallery would take unique notice of the fact that the German submarines always surfaced to allow their crew to escape, and he decided that he was going to do something unprecedented, something that no American sailor had done since 1815. He was going to send out a boarding party and steal that enemy submarine. He immediately puts a plan into action, assembling two separate boarding parties, each to be comprised of one officer and 8 enlisted men. And these 8 enlisted men are going to be the top 8 guys that you would absolutely want on hand to be able to address any problem that could arise with keeping this submarine from sinking to the ocean floor. People like the electrician, the machinist, the boatswain's mate, the torpedo technician. Oh, and the photographer. Yeah, one of the 8 people going on the extremely dangerous and important mission is going to be a photographer because, history. Pics or it didn't happen.
You're right? Yeah,
America's about to do some gangster shit. You best believe we're going to designate somebody to stand in the corner with the camera and yell "World Star" while we do it. June 1st, 1944, Task Force 22.3 receives intel that there's an enemy submarine operating off the coast of Africa. That submarine submarine would turn out to be U-boat 505, and they would head to it immediately. And this poor U-boat has absolutely no idea what's coming for it, because at this point in time, this task force is comprised of the flagship and escort carrier, the USS Guadalcanal, as well as 5 destroyer escorts, the USS Pope, the Pillsbury, the Jinx, the Chatelaine, and the Flaherty. And if you don't know what a destroyer escort is, at this point in time, it is a ship that has one job and one job only, and that is to fuck up enemy
destroy everything.
Okay, this hunter-killer group is rolling up on this U-boat like Debo on a beach cruiser. Somebody's about to have a bad day, and it's probably not going to be them.
Dude, such a good edit. Bro, such a good edit.
June 4th, 1944, after 3 days of chasing down this U-boat, they would finally catch up to it, and the USS Guadalcanal would immediately scramble 2 Grumman F-4F Wildcat fighters as the rest of the destroyer escorts made their way towards the submarine. U-boat 505 was already submerged and underwater, but the Grumman F-4F Wildcat pilots are able to see the long dark shadow of the submarine underneath the water because it's broad daylight. And once they confirm that it is in fact an enemy submarine, the destroyer escorts begin loading their hedgehogs to fire upon it. If you don't know what a hedgehog is, it is the most feared anti-submarine weapon in all of World War II. It is like a fully automatic mortar capable of firing over a wide area. Once these mortars hit the water, they can plunge into the depths of the ocean at 33 feet per second, and as soon as they make impact with anything, they will explode and destroy it. The hedgehogs would detonate
33 feet a second, bro.
I mean, compared to other ballistics, that's really slow.
Is it actually?
That's through water.
That's what I mean. Like that. That seems crazy. 33 feet a second in water. You got to think, how long is this room? Probably 15 feet maybe from wall to wall. 20 feet maybe from wall to wall.
Something like that.
So it's going this room and a half in 1 second.
Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty quick.
That especially for back then, that is fast, bro.
And it once again in the water.
Yeah, that's the whole concept. Is 33 feet per second on land isn't anything impressive by military standards. But when you're cutting through water, dude, that's moving.
That's quick.
And then the second it touches something, it's just like dink, boom, just waste it, dude. That's wild. That's scatter bomb on a whole nother level, dude.
As soon as they make impact with anything, they will explode and destroy it. The hedgehogs would detonate early, not scoring a direct hit, but still rocking and damaging the submarine, jamming its propeller, and putting out its lights. Quickly realizing they hadn't done enough damage, the destroyer escorts above would begin launching depth charges. The depth charges would rupture the hull of U-boat 505, and the entire submarine would be forced to surface one last time as a hatch would open and all the German sailors would begin flooding out onto its deck and into life rafts. At this point, the American boarding party grabbed their Tommy guns, hopped in their whaling boat, and made their way over to the submarine. They received no resistance from the Germans as they made their way down the hatch into the sub and began working on it to try to save it. Okay, time out. I need to make sure that you fully grasp how ridiculous what these 9 Americans are about to do.
I am blown away right now.
Okay, you have a German U-boat that is so critically damaged that the 50 men that have been living on this U-boat, that have been trained on this U-boat has controls in their language and in their units of measurement. And they have decided cumulatively that, hey, this thing is so damaged that we need to run for our lives. And then, while they were evacuating, they would also place scuttling charges, which are large explosive devices that detonate, ensuring that the ship sinks so that America can't retrieve it. So not only is the situation so bad that 50 of them can't fix it, but they made the situation worse on their way out. And you now have 9 Americans, one of which is a fucking camera guy, going in there to do what they couldn't pull off. This mission is seemingly impossible and borderline insane, but they do it anyways because America. So they get inside the sub and begin going to work immediately. The torpedo technicians and ordnance officers begin defusing scuttling charges.
You know, let me just think about that one more time. 50 men who are trained to keep this thing operational.
They're all technicians, dude.
It's done for. We gotta go.
We gotta get out of here.
9 Americans. Okay, one of them being a photographer goes, fuck that, dude. I can get this bitch running again. Let's go. Like, that is wild.
The photographer's like wading through to the back of the fucking sub, like, hang on, don't start yet. Wait, I gotta get the shot. Right. All right, go. Start trying to fix it. Ready? Okay. You're like, what is going on with this, dude?
50 men decided it's gone.
Well,
and 8 Americans, okay?
9. Well, okay, all right.
8 Americans go in, okay, and said, "Dude, we got this.
We got this.
We got this.
Just don't shoot at us when we come over here." And they're like,
dude, That's crazy.
They're like, you're good. Get in there. Good luck, you fucking idiots. You're committing. You're just gonna commit suicide. Like,
yeah. We rigged the bombs already to scuttle this thing. Like,
it's gonna be on the bottom of the floor. Good lord, dude. Okay, all right. Let's see how this goes.
Line insane, but they do it anyways because America. So they get inside the sub and begin going to work immediately. The torpedo technicians and ordnance officers begin defusing scuttling charges as the electricians go to work at trying to get the bilge pumps back up and running to pump water out of the submarine. And the damage control men and the machinists begin working on plugging holes and getting the motor back up and running. And while all of this is going on, the officer in charge of the American boarding party, Lieutenant Albert David, notices that the submarine is sinking so fast that there is now water pouring into the open hatch on top. And it is at this moment that he has to make a split decision. He either has to get his men out and save their lives, or he has to shut the hatch and give them more time to work. But if they can't pull it off, they are all going to die in that submarine. And without thinking twice, he closes the hatch. A few minutes later, the second boarding party would board U-boat 505, and they would attempt to open the hatch to get inside the submarine and help. But the sinking submarine had created such a powerful vacuum that it was impossible. Yeah. So they did the next best thing. They got a tow line, tied the U-boat 505 to the USS Guadalcanal, as the USS Guadalcanal began towing the now sinking U-boat. Feeling that they were now moving, the Americans on the inside had an ingenious idea. You see, the U-boat didn't have enough power for anything but lights. They were running entirely on batteries. The reason they didn't have power is because the propeller was jammed, and the propeller was jammed because they couldn't get the motor going again. So what they did was they disconnected the drive shaft between the motor and the propeller, allowing the propeller to free spin in the current of the USS Guadalcanal as it's being towed. This would turn the alternator, generating power and giving the U-boat enough power to activate its bilge pumps and begin pumping water out of it. I cannot stress to you enough how fucking genius this was to do. This saved all of their lives for sure, and to be able to have the
one mechanic.
Yeah. One mechanic.
Who knew exactly how an engine runs and went, disconnect the drive shaft. It's still connected to the alternator. We can still make power. We can still power the pumps.
Yeah.
Get that drive shaft connected right now. Get that drive. I'm sure it was probably a collective effort, but I just picture someone like you.
There was one guy who had the idea.
You know, there was just one guy in the back of that motherfucker that was just like, we got to disconnect the drive shaft.
He's like, the alternator is hooked up on the propeller side. The propeller just has to spin.
It just got to spin.
Obviously, the motor's fucked.
And if we're pulling it, it's going to naturally spin. Yeah. And so, like, dude,
it's not going to be a full 12 volts, but
dude,
you know,
mechanical engineering, like on the fly, just like going for it, just jogging his little mechanical brain, and just. Man, like I said, I think about you down there and just that weird out of the box style. I've seen you do it 100 times working on cars. Well, can't get around this thing, so what we do instead is we just kind of, you know.
Oh, I have done a lot of things that I go, I hope this works.
Yeah. And from what I've seen, most of the time it does.
Most of the time it does.
It does.
We're batting about 80%. Okay, I'll take it.
When he says, when the fat electrician says, I can't stress to you how fucking genius of an idea that, like, legitimately, that saved the entire boat. That saved the entire, that was like the crux of the whole thing. That was like, that was the move. Boom, that's it. We're good. We're home free now. I mean, not totally, like the boat's still halfway in the water, but it's pushing the water out now, and it has power, so there we go.
Let's go.
that blows my mind, dude.
Oh, for sure.
Like I said, one guy was just down there, and he was like, well, just, I mean, obviously it wasn't just like maybe you just do. It was like a big, panicky, crazy, we're going under kind of situation. But still, there was a dude in there who had the mindset to just go, no, dude, this is connected to this thing, and it needs to spin.
And that's the thing, is especially under that pressure, when I'm under the pressure of, holy shit, things are going really, really bad, I go blank.
Yeah,
for the first little bit.
I get it.
Fucking, what the fuck am I even looking at?
Bro,
you know?
Every time we're in this room and we go to start a session and I go to talking to the mic and it doesn't do anything, I'm just like,
blank.
All the green lights are on the thing.
I don't know.
No idea, bro. It happens every time we go live. Going live in 30 seconds. So yeah, that guy's the main character of this story for sure, 100%. Did you go back?
I did not.
All right, let's go.
Genius this was to do. This saved all of their lives for sure, and to be able to have the knowledge and wisdom to come up with a solution like that while you're actively fucking dying in a tin can into the ocean is incredible.
Yeah, dude.
So things are already looking up, but at a minimum, they have to get that hatchback open so that the first boarding crew can escape if they absolutely need to. So the second boarding crew, with their Tommy guns, proceeds to pluck one of the Germans out of their life raft and force him, persuade him to activate the pressure valve, which is going to equalize the pressure inside and outside the sub, allowing them to open the hatch door. That happens, and the second boarding crew gets inside and also gets to work. And all this is going on, and there's 50 Germans sitting out there in life rafts like,
on the
fuck. Like, what do you do in that situation? You have just been outclassed on every conceivable
Dude, literally.
level. Like, you were in combat, they damaged your ship to the point that you couldn't fix it, so then you tried to rage quit and blow up your own ship, and then they're like, no, I've changed my mind. And then they went in there and made it so you couldn't even sink your own ship. At this point, the rest of the task force goes around plucking all the Germans out of their life rafts because they are now prisoners of war, as Commander Gallery comes to the conclusion, fuck it, we're just gonna have to tow this sinking submarine while it's actively sinking all the way to the nearest American port, and we're just gonna have sailors in there working 24/7 around the clock to try to keep it above the waterline. Not a terrible plan, but the only problem is they're like 150 miles off the coast of Africa, and the nearest American port is 2,500 miles away, and if that wasn't bad enough, it's in fucking Bermuda, you know, where the whole triangle thing is. I mean, the disrespect with this is absolutely palpable. Could you imagine being one of these Germans sitting there like, not only are you not allowed to sink your own ship, you're not even allowed to rage quit. The Americans come in, steal your shit, and now they're gonna joyride it through the Bermuda Triangle and not even lose it just to flex on you like that? It's ridiculous.
Not even
so
lose
they get
it?
everything buttoned up and they get underway, headed out to Bermuda. At which point, a couple days later, the commander of the German submarine wakes up in the infirmary on the USS Guadalcanal. Apparently, he had been hit in the head and lost consciousness for a number of days. At which point, Commander Gallery comes down to have a conversation with him, and he's like, hey, here's the deal. We stole your sub. We're towing it to the Bermuda Triangle for a joyride. It's gonna be great. The German commander absolutely refuses to believe him. He's like, that's not possible. I had 50 dudes. They weren't able to save that sub. We scuttled it on the way out for insurance. There's no way that you managed to keep that sub from sinking.
Here it comes. Two things. Number one, no, you didn't. Number two, yes, we did. That's it. No, you didn't.
That's it.
Yes, we did. That's all you need to know, bud. Look out the window. Actually, you know what? Here, I'll take you up to the deck, and you can see exactly what's going on. Dude, ridiculous.
Sub, we scuttled it on the way out for insurance. There's no way that you managed to keep that sub from sinking. At which point, Commander Gallery is like, oh, well, here's all the shit from your office. It's distinctly not waterlogged. Also, if you look out the window, we're towing your submarine behind us right now. At which point, the German officer completely loses his shit. He starts crying. He's completely inconsolable. He's like, when my chain of command finds out that this happened, they're going to torture me, and then they're going to kill me. Or the other way around. I don't know. This is absolutely terrible. But Commander Gallery, being the cool guy that he is, he's like, hey, buddy, pal, friend, you're going to sit in a nice POW camp for the duration of the war. We're going to win, and by the time you get to go back home, you're not going to have a chain of command, and all of your leadership infrastructure is going to be completely dismantled. I wouldn't worry about it. Didn't really make him feel better, but I thought it was funny. Now, so they're still making their way towards that big triangle thing, but pulling this submarine and keeping it from taking on water is a constant struggle, and it's starting to look like they're not going to be able to keep enough water out of this submarine long enough to get it all the way to Bermuda. So, they start interviewing Germans, trying to find one with technical knowledge that would be willing to help them keep it afloat. And that is when they come across a young German sailor by the name of Felix Ewald, and he would inform them that not only is he not German, he's definitely not a Nazi, and he's certainly not a fan. He was conscripted when the Nazis invaded Poland, and he was basically being forced to be there, and that if America wanted help, he was happy to do so. So he would immediately go to work helping the Americans.
Enter new main character. Sorry, I thought there was one. Now I guess there's two.
Right.
Main characters can share the story, okay? Dude, imagine me in that guy's shoes, too.
Yeah.
You just basically, well, I don't remember what the
You're
word
like, great, I got taken captive by the Germans
they literally,
and forced to serve, and now I'm captured by the Americans. Like, what the fuck is
like,
going on?
Oh my god, dude.
Here?
Like, whatever it takes for me to get the hell out of this, I'm willing to help.
Yeah,
What do I need to do? Fix your goddamn boat? Okay, get me over there. I'll fix your goddamn boat. Let's go. Get me off of this fucking place.
To be there, and that if America wanted help, he was happy to do so. So he would immediately go to work helping the Americans keep the submarine afloat the entire time as they traveled back to Bermuda. As the remaining German German POWs began asking questions. What happened to Felix? What happened to Ewald? Where's Ewald? And they began looking for him every chance they got, searching everywhere they could find him. The Americans had told him that they killed him, but they didn't believe it because they knew he was Polish too. So they just kept looking and looking, scanning everywhere. And this would be the inspiration for the childhood book, Where's Waldo? I'm just kidding, I made that part up. Anyways, with the help of Felix, they managed to tow this submarine all the way to Bermuda. They get it fixed up. It's definitely not going to sink, at which point they get to go in and really start looking at what intel they had managed to gather. And holy shit, there is an up-to-date active Enigma cipher machine on board. This is what the Germans were using to send all their secret military communications, and it could prove absolutely invaluable.
Bingo.
They also had a bunch of up-to-date ciphers and a bunch of other documents that were deemed so important that they were printed on water-soluble paper so that if the boat did sink and these documents got wet, they would completely disintegrate and be unrecoverable. It is at this point that the American leadership decides the Germans have to think that this boat went down and everyone died. We cannot let them know that we have this information because now we're going to be able to decode all of their secret transmissions and we don't want them to change the code. So they take U-Boat 505, they actually paint it to look like an American submarine and then start referring to it as the USS Nemo, which if you don't know is Latin for no one. They then take all the German POWs from U-Boat 505, send them to Louisiana, where they are going to be completely segregated from all the other POWs, so nobody knows who they are or where they came from. All the American sailors are then ordered to turn over all of the souvenirs that they gathered out of U-Boat 505 and to shut the fuck up about it. And as far as anyone on the planet needs to be concerned, this U-boat is at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean, 150 miles off the coast of Africa. Nobody can know that we have this. Buh! If those Germans weren't allowed to write home through the Red Cross, that's technically a Geneva Convention violation. Buh! First of all, when you're on the winning side, those aren't actually rules, they're more like suggestions.
The code is more what you'd call guidelines than actual rules.
Hell yeah.
Secondly, let's just be honest here. If you were a POW in World War II and the worst thing that happened to you is you weren't allowed to write home while you were being well fed and treated with dignity, you came out on top. Alright, so somehow the United States manages to keep this thing a complete secret until May 7th, 1945, when Germany issues their unconditional surrender. And it is at this point that the smack talking can now commence, because now we are going to take this submarine, you know, the only remaining Type 9C German sub left on the planet, even though they manufactured hundreds, we sunk all of them, except for this one. Now we're going to drive that bitch to Philadelphia and use it to raise funds, and anybody that buys a bunch of war bonds can get a guided tour of this German sub, because a lot of people quit buying war bonds after Germany surrendered because they thought the war was coming to an end, and we were still fighting the war in the Pacific against the Japanese. So this was like a huge fundraising opportunity, and that's exactly what they did. They sold a ton of war bonds. As soon as that started slowing down, hey, we'll tow it to another major US city. They towed it up to New York. Then New York bought a bunch of war bonds. And then World War II would finally come to an end when Japan issued their unconditional surrender, and now we've got this German submarine and we don't know what to do with it. So the US government does what the US government do, and they're like, hear me out, what if we shot nuclear bombs at it for science?
Dude, whatever, bro.
At which point, Commander Gallery, who's now an admiral, chimes in and is like, no, I stole that thing fair and square, we're keeping it. So he ends up orchestrating a deal with the city of Chicago where the US government will donate the submarine to the city of Chicago as long as the city pays to have it shipped all the way there. And that's exactly what happens. They took a Type 9C German submarine, the whole thing, in one piece, and put it in Chicago, you know, like the major city that's the most inland of any other city in America. It's literally fucking 2 Germanys into America. Yes, that is to scale. An incredible...
Yes, that is to scale.
Oh, God.
I see, and I was trying to think like Chicago. I know the Great Lakes are up there. I was like, maybe they, how did they get, because the Great Lakes aren't connected to the ocean. I mean, they are at some point.
I mean, through the Mississippi River.
Yeah,
but, like,
I mean, at some point they are, but you're not getting
U-boat all the way up.
Fuck no, dude. So I was like, how did they get it? They legitimately just trailered it up there, man. They just posted it up on bringatrailer.com, and that's...
And Chicago brought a trailer.
That's how they got it, dude. All right.
It's literally fucking 2 Germanys into America. Yes, that is to scale. An incredible logistical feat is the icing on the cake for one of the most amazing and utterly disrespectful stories to ever come out of World War II. And I'm happy to say that if you would ever like to go see U-Boat 505, you still can, because it is still in Chicago today at the Museum of Science and Industry, where it currently sits as a proud member of the 2nd largest navy on the planet, America's fleet of museum ships. Thank you for watching. Best way to support the channel is go buy some merch at thefatelectrician.com.
I like that Hawaiian one. That's cool, dude.
Out.
On June 19th, the U-505 was towed into Bermuda, and there remains as a prize of war, one less wolf to hunt with the pack.
Damn.
They made hundreds of those things, and we sank them all.
Except for one.
But we're keeping this one. We're bringing it back home.
Oh.
We're going to use it as a billboard to sell a bunch of what do they call them? War
bonds.
War bonds, to sell a bunch of war bonds to fund our war against Japan. And then that worked, and then Japan surrendered too.
Yeah.
Dude, we had some crazy sons of bitches back in the day.
Dude.
Like...
And I'm sure there's still guys out there today serving in the armed forces that are just doing some wild shit.
100%.
Like, we're never going to hear about it till years and years years from now.
And it'll be super. These stories will be crazy like 30, 40 years from now when you're hearing about like the like we hear these stories and we're like, dang, I can't believe they had that kind of advanced technology back then. You hear about it, and then 50 years from now it's going to be, holy crap, they had all that stuff back then. Like this wild, dude. Things you don't know about, like you said, the military was very good at keeping things under wraps. Clearly, they kept an entire U-boat under wraps
for years.
Convinced a whole other country that it was at the bottom of the ocean for however long until they finally admitted defeat. And then they were like, oh, hey, by the way, now that you signed that paper, that U-boat that we got in that fight over, remember that?
Does 505 ring a bell?
It's in Philadelphia right now. So you want to see it? We have our photographer. The photographer that was on the boat.
He took pictures of it.
He took pictures of it, dude. So, yeah, we have it.
Oh, man.
Dude, what a crazy thing, man. It's just like just the mindset that you have to have when you're in situations like that. And not to mention, in the middle of the ocean, there's no land around you. Like you're saying, you're 150 miles from the closest shoreline. And
it's not even a friendly shoreline.
No, it's like you don't want to dock up there. No, you are not going to be welcome there.
Not because you get wrecked, but because a country may think something about
it's just
like
it's not a place that we need to be. So why would we be shoring up there? They're obviously going to be preparing for something if they see us coming. We don't want to start that whole thing. And it's like, dude, we're just
gonna go 2,500 miles the other way,
dragging this anchor on the side of our boat and like limping it back home somehow, convincing Polish dudes that were basically taken hostage by the Germans to fix the boat while we get it in, because he doesn't actually want to be with the Germans anymore. But dude,
crazy.
What the hell, bro? Like, fortunate to be alive in the time that we are now, but like those guys were straight up roughnecks, dude.
Yeah.
We're going to get out in this little itty-bitty whaling boat. We're going to roll up to this German U-boat with a bunch of dudes standing on the outside and be like, hey, don't do anything funny. Don't do anything funny.
Right.
We're coming into the submarine. We're going to try and save it. Okay, don't do anything funny. No, you guys just stand right there and we're going in, okay? All right, we can't fix it. All right, hang on. We're just going to hook it up to our other boat. You guys still just don't move. No one say anything. We're going to hook it up to this boat. We're going to start dragging it, okay? All right?
Oh, God, man.
You guys just stay there. Nobody move. You guys just stay there on the front of the boat where we can see y'all.
Come aboard.
And then once we get it tied up, we're going to put y'all in this infirmary or whatever, our hostage area down here. You guys can chill there until we get back to Chicago or to the mainland.
Louisiana, yeah. God, dude. Military is wild.
That's the craziest shit.
World War II, there are so many stories to come out of World War I and World War II, because those guys, and I met a guy, he's since passed away, but he was a vet from World War II, and those guys are just built different.
Dude. Last Monday, when we were talking about the guys that were flying those A6 planes or whatever, 6AE or whatever those planes are, dude, and they just flew at the boat, shooting the guns at them. They just, here's the boat, shoot, just bam, 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 bam. Now we're coming. Now we're underneath you.
Yeah.
And then we're going to come back and make another pass, and we're going to do the same thing, but on this one, we're not going to fly low, and I'm going to have my gunner drop a bomb into your main mast, blow up your entire ship. Bye, frigate. See you later.
Shit's so crazy.
Dude, and this is, like I said, this is when we didn't have a whole lot of advanced technology. I mean, I know the military...
it was advanced for the day.
Had more advanced stuff. But I mean, you look at that technology now, and you look at it nowadays, and it's like, these guys had pretty limited, pretty limited reach as far as that kind of stuff goes.
What blows me away is, like, during the Civil War and that type of thing, or even, our fight for independence from Great Britain. I don't know if you guys have ever, taken the opportunity to go and shoot a cap and ball pistol, right? A muzzle loader of any type, of flintlock. Dude, bro, the fact that wars were fought with these just blows my mind.
It's wild, too, because, not only do you spend minutes getting one round loaded into this fucking thing, but then when you shoot it, it's just kind of like, puh!
You can't see
anything. Where did it go? How far did it go? Did I hit the guy?
Smoke? Yeah.
No idea, dude. I have no idea.
And so you just get started on pour more powder in, a patch,
you don't even have time to check. You just
get it started,
and the thing blows up, and you just keep doing the...
And then fucking, okay, fire. And then, set it down, pour some more powder in it, put a patch, put a ball, and then start it, and then pull your ramrod out and shove it back down.
And then they had the dudes, you had to make those fucking balls, too. You had to make your shit. They had the fucking, they pour lead into the, they would dig holes in the fucking ground and pour lead into them into their little cap and ball thingy, and then grab it and pull the thing out, and that's how you make one round of ammo. I learned about that at Fort Casper way back in the day. Dude, wild, bro. Like, I don't know. I probably would have died. I'm just saying.
Same.
If it was up to me back then, I probably would have died, man.
And the fact that they had Minutemen, which could be ready in a minute, and typically they were the fastest reloading and shooting, and it was something crazy. Like they could get off like 3 rounds in a minute, which seems not that fast. But believe me, if you guys ever get an opportunity to shoot
a muzzleloader
of any type, picture doing that 3 times in 1 minute. Dude. Like, time yourself. Because it takes me at least 2 minutes to make sure I get the correct powder charge in.
Oh,
and
dude.
I mean, 5 minutes, I would say it would take me 3 minutes to get 1 round off if I'm in a hurry.
What movie is it? I have a vision in my head of a movie where some dude's running through a battlefield with a muzzleloader, and it's like crazy bloody battle or whatever. And he's running through with a muzzleloader, and you can see him like as he's running, he's like pulling off the gunpowder, and he just kind of like as he's running, shoving it into the barrel and just trying to get everything going, you know. And then guy comes running up, and he pops that one off, and then he pulls out another thing and gets it, and then he throws the fucking. And I can't remember what movie it is, but like that kind of intensity where it's like you don't have any time to think about anything. You just. The one thing you think about is getting another round in the gun.
Load and fire.
That's
Load
it, dude.
And fire.
And if you go down in the midst of it, it's just that's it. That's all there is to it, man. The amount of time you have to spend looking up to see where everyone's at while you're still trying to.
I mean, fuck, dude, it's faster to shoot a bow and arrow.
100%, bro. Just a quiver, flap, flap. And probably a little more accurate, to be honest, because you can see,
I mean,
the distance maybe not, but like, I mean,
that was the big advantage, and the reason why they used muzzle loaders and that type of thing is because then they didn't have to be so close.
Oh sure.
Like when an enemy was advancing, you would just hope you guys would land their shots before they're within range,
50 yards or so. It's like start shooting, dude, start shooting.
Yeah.
Anyways,
so it's crazy, man. The whole military thing. Like, number one, shouts out to you guys who currently serve.
Yeah.
We don't know what goes on day to day. I'm sure there's some wild things that happen. But just like Backwoods Logan talking about when he was in the Navy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like.
He was the one that told us about all the
guns,
seized guns on that ship, right? On that aircraft.
And it was
carrier?
just like in some fishing boat. Like,
oh, that's right. That's the video that we watched on that live stream where that fishing boat was loaded with like
loaded. And the crazy thing is, some of it was American guns.
Yeah,
like, how the fuck did they get
M4s in there, like M16s in there? What?
And Barrett 50 cals and.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, it's just insane. Shouts out to you guys. Thank you guys for your service. That's not a job I could do. Okay.
Yeah, I'm glad. 100%. I'm glad. It's not a job that I think anyone should have to do. Unfortunately, it's just the way the world works. So I appreciate the people that are willing to put their lives out there,
and the people who are like gung ho about it.
Dude,
like,
the guys that are like ready.
Let's go.
Can't wait till I turn 18 or whatever. I can get into the military, do my thing, get signed up, Go get them, bud.
Go get them.
Because we need people like that for sure, because I ain't going to be the one signing up. But I'm glad, again, we talk about it every time we have a U.S. defense type of video on it. I'm really glad I live in a place where we have such a... I don't have to worry about that stuff. I really don't. It's a very, very nice luxury that we have over here right now, where it's like... We're very hard to access, and we spend way too much money on our military. And because of that, no one really fucks with us, and I appreciate that. So... feels for all of our international watchers. Let us know if you are watching internationally how things are going, man. Just give us some updates in the comments. Something that we don't see on the news every day. So, you know, something that's not just led by headlines and things like that. Let us know how it's actually going.
And that's the thing. I don't have any clue what's going on in the world because I refuse to watch any mainstream news media, newspapers, anything like that because it's all propaganda and bullshit.
They stop worrying about the actual problem and just start worrying about turning all of us against each other. Like they figure out ways to turn these headlines into, oh, you shouldn't like your neighbor because they're, I don't know, their ancestors were associated with this.
Like how did a thing between Palestine and Israel become a social issue in the U.S.?
Dude, I don't even want to.
How the fuck did that happen?
I don't know. Dude,
what?
That was one of those situations where I was like, that's why I asked at the very beginning of this about not killing, not just straight going in and
murking people.
Performing genocide. Well, apparently that still happens because that's Haram. Is that who it is? Haram? Hamas? They didn't give a flying rat's ass, dude.
And to be fair, throughout all of history, that's kind of their
that
MO.
whole area, dude. Israel, Palestine, Iraq, Iran, that whole kind of area has always been very religious and very active in their, I don't know, I guess their religious defense or whatever.
Religious defense.
I don't know, you guys. I don't live over there. I don't live in those parts of the world, but I am interested to hear. So if any of you guys are overseas, I know we have a couple of them. Let us know in the comments. We just want to talk to you, man. Get
even Canada. Let us know how it's going. I know you guys lost a whole bunch of gun rights this year. So
that's right, huh?
Let us know how that's going.
And I'm pretty sure their taxes, their import and export taxes, are going up this year again. I think I heard Glenn Fricker talking about that. He's up in Ontario. So Anyways, 5 out of 5. I love the Fat Electrician. I'm down to he just has a really good way of presenting history and makes it informative and fun at the same time. I love it, man. 5 out of 5, and I think he will end up being a recurring on our channel.
And this is, I see another recommended video. We don't have to bring up a screen cap, but it's Army Rangers versus the Crips.
Oh yeah.
And if you've never heard that story, if you guys want us to check that one out, let us know down in the comments below. It's a very interesting story about how this guy basically bought a home. And the whole neighborhood went to shit while he was overseas because gangs started moving in.
Oh.
And he came back and they started to try to fuck with him and shit. And he was like, no. So he calls over some buddies and they have a massive firefight outside of his house. Yeah.
Okay.
And they were all Army Rangers. So
we are going to have to, I think I would watch that one next, to be honest. So if you guys want to see that one, if you're still with us, leave a comment or leave a cloud in the comments. Cloud emoji always if you make it to the end of the videos. And let us know if you want to watch the Army Ranger versus Crip Gang video.
If you guys enjoyed today's episode as much as we did, be sure to leave a thumbs up, smash that subscribe button, click the bell, become part of the notification gang. And we'll see y'all next time.
Yeah. Bow. I always point at this thing and not the actual lens, like